You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yes, the de Havilland Sea Vixen, or should I say, probably about as useless as the Buccaneer. But that's okay, it's got a wide range of ordnance. You ready for the list?
4 5 Strix, 4 500-pound bombs, 4 540-pound bombs, Mark IIs, 2 1,000-pound bombs, 2 1,000-pound bomb general purpose 1, plus 4 500-pounds Mark II, 4,000 pounds total. 4 red tops, 144 RN rockets, 16 RP3 rockets, 24 armor-piercing Mark II rockets, 2 fire strike missiles, and 2 AGM-12 bullpups. 2 AGM-12 bullpup missiles and 72 RN rockets, 2 red dot missiles and 8 RP3 rockets, 2 red dot missiles and 12 AP rockets, 2 red dot missiles and 2 12 B bullpups. And the list just goes on, right?
This thing is what you call multi-use. Now, prior to the little update fix, the ordnance loadout wasn't here. So on the very first day of the server's opening, the only ordnance loadout you had was fire streaks and your red tops, which I thought, hang on, this aircraft is usually a fleet air interceptor, sort of a fleet defender, I believe that the word was called, and it's an aircraft designed to protect the fleet from enemy threats, right? So let's have a look, and you can see there's quite a long list of just things here to really sort of dive into. What do you get for your 8,000 golden birds? Well, you get something that's incredibly fast, right? A very high top speed of 1,100. It's got good acceleration, and the red tops are, well, they're hard to dodge when used correctly. Mind you, I'm not really using them correctly, and we'll go into that a little bit later. If you saw yesterday's video, you would have seen, well, how terribly I tried to play this thing. Radar slaving in this can be a little bit of a pain, but it's, surprisingly, this aircraft is incredibly maneuverable, and climbs better than most of the aircraft at 8.3. Yeah, I know, an 8.3 aircraft with 4 red tops. You must be thinking, well, that's an easy 4 kills. Well, yes, but actually, no. We'll get into that later. It can take off from carriers, although, as you saw from the intro, it struggles. So it can't take off from carriers, and obviously, if you're taking this thing out into ground forces, this machine is probably going to be for you, right? It's close air support haven, right? That's what it does. Let's go put on some bombs just so we can show the crowd. It has no ordnance aside from the fire streaks. It has no guns. It's relying entirely on missiles for air-to-air combat, and the missiles are only rear aspects, so you cannot engage targets that you're approaching. And although you can use the RM rockets for air-to-air, they are just basically, just don't go there unless you're being a bit of a meme. Red top and fire strike missiles don't have great range when fired directly behind a target either, so you really have to space your engagements out, and that comes at a bit of a problem depending on the aircraft you're fighting, particularly G91s. That is really it. It does get an arrestor gear. It's obviously got air brakes. It's got 2 Rolls-Royce Avon Mark 208. It's a air-cooled system. Take weight's 21 tons. You know, turn time of 24 seconds. Max altitude of 13,000 meters. No problem. Max speed upgrade is 1,109. It is a premium aircraft after all. It does get takeoff flaps. Does get landing flaps. Has air brakes, and does not come with a drag chute. Oh well. So where do we start with this machine? Well, initially in yesterday's video, I was struggling a little bit to play it, and then I discovered the radar slaving is quite effective. As you see here, I fired one without, just as a bit of a test bed here, and the missile loses complete utter focus. That's okay though. We try and get another radar lock on the guy, and then we go to warm up our missiles. You can see the other one just blew up there. Unfortunately, we have lost our element of surprise, and our missile is not going to go anywhere near him. And that's the thing, you've got to play this machine incredibly like a defensive fighter. That's exactly what its role is. Climb high at the start of a match, and basically get out of harm's way as soon as bloody possible. Here is a late game bomber who thinks he's being sneaky by going around the edge of the map. Now, this thing has radar. Yep, they finally implemented the radar on the thing. And this poor IL-28 copy is going to get utterly dominated. Now, I think he realizes that I'm coming in for him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop back around because he's going to do an evasive maneuver. And if I go straight for him, he has the opportunity to start turning into me. And thus, I can't really use my air-to-air missiles to a great effect. Now, he's gone straight for a dive. Had he continued a dogfight, he might be in a better position. But, alas, there is no more remorse for this guy. Ready? And Fox 3, I think. There we go. Away we go. And that's typically how you're supposed to play this thing, at distances beyond about a couple of kilometers. Otherwise, you get certain weird sort of engagements, particularly G91s and MiG-17s. They tend to be your biggest offenders. The Sabres aren't so much a problem, unless they get lucky shots on your engine. Anyway, we've gone into a next match here. And this is where things get a bit spicy. This aircraft is gorgeous, except for the offset cockpit. That really irritates me. There's a Seahawk to my left, and I was debating going after him, but then I saw the Tu-4, and I cannot help but go for the Tu-4. You know, bombers are not exactly commonplace in War Thunders, particularly 8.3. You know, you see Tu-4s occasionally, and I'm just nosing over to go towards the Seahawk. I've yet to decide a target. As you can see, I'm at 8,000 meters. This thing climbs like an utter dream. Mind you, it chews through fuel quite considerable as well. Radar slave the thing. Lock the missile on. Come on. Got to get in a certain kilometre range. Pull away and try and avoid his guns as much as possible. Goodbye Tu-4. Enjoy your repair cost. Now, attacking props like that isn't exactly ideal. They don't produce a high enough heat signature for the missiles to really sort of lock on, but alas, it worked somehow. I think there is a minimum arm range on the missiles, particularly pertaining to the Tu-4, but alas, that's not what we're here to do. Instead, I've got my eyes set on that LA-15, and we're going to skip a few minutes of me just trying to get in a decent position to show you that, yeah, things get quite fucked up. Trying to get another lock on via missile. I've got 2 fire streaks left, or should I say red tops. No way I'm going to get that MiG-17. However, that LA-15 is looking promising. Pull out, away, and try and extend. That is the aim of the game here. Essentially, that is all you have to do, really. Aside from avoiding incoming missiles, you have no flares, so there isn't really much a form of countermeasures. The biggest things you're going to be fighting, essentially, are, you know, up tiers. You know, your 9.3s, your 9.7s. And I have fought Su-7 BKLs and the premium Su-7, and they kind of a bit daunting to face. As I'm trying to launch the missile keybind, instead I press the flaps key and not my actual bound mouse key. Somehow, I don't know how that I find managed to fire that missile. Just goes to show you, one fumbling click and, well, things don't necessarily end too well. Managed to correct myself, but unfortunately I've used all my missiles. I've got 2 minutes fuel, back to the airfield for me, but unfortunately this aircraft is very much a support fighter. It's good in an offensive role, but once you run out of those missiles, you can't do diddly squat. And it requires heavy team support. What do I like about the machine? Well, it's quite fun, it's very manoeuvrable, and you can do a lot with it. Obviously close air support wise, but in an air realistic it's kind of a bit lackluster. You do find yourself fighting people who will chase you to the end of the earth, and then will try and dogfight you as much as possible. So again, keeping that distance, extending the airframe out a bit, and trying to get away from combat before re-engaging is generally the best practice. Think of it flying like a 104, but without the insane speed, in a way. This thing's fast, but it can't necessarily outturn or outperform anything else that chases it. And we're going to come back down, dive back down, and this is the best point of reference, getting your enemies from behind. With a rear aspect lock, avoid the guy coming in there. This FJ4B doesn't know what is about to hit him. Got radar lock now. Wait, there we go. And Fox 3. And if he doesn't necessarily correct his course, he isn't. He's absolutely toast, mate. Unfortunately, I should have continued my path of flight instead of turning towards the MiG-17. This is basically what cursed me here. The whole entire enemy team is on and over this sort of sandy area and bowl. As a result, it's going to be incredibly annoying to sort of do anything. See how it does versing an AIM-9B. Wait for the missile to come in. The track has gone away, and pull. Barely threading that missile type. I don't know why I'm turning around, I should have extended, but then again, my team is basically crippled, and I really can't necessarily help them. And that's the bigger issue with this aircraft. You really need to focus on where you're putting yourself. You have to get rear aspect locks only. And really, that's all there is to say about the machine. Decent one. Is it worth 8,000 gold? I'm not entirely sure. And that about does it. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure your radar controls are refreshed, and that's about it. Alright, cheerio.